Sword of the Demon Hunter is an action fantasy series based on a novel by Motoo Nakanishi. Its story is set during Japan's Edo period and follows the protagonist, Jinya, on his journey to become stronger in order to defeat the demon god that threatens to destroy humanity. The hour-long premiere focuses on the events that led to his pursuit for power and utter resentment toward that malevolent figure. The story begins with siblings Genta and Suzune running away from home and being adopted by Motoharu, a sentinel from Kodono village. A couple years after they begin living with him and his daughter Shiryuki, Genta starts learning the way of the sword from Motoharu. Unfortunately, their peaceful life together is soon cut short, prompting a major change for Genta and Shiryuki as they choose to step into roles once held by her mother and father. Several years later, Shiryuki becomes the village's shrine maiden, known as the Isukihime, and abandons her former identity. Genta serves as one of her sentinels, tasked with protecting her and the village from demons. As for his sister Suzune, she has remained the same despite the passage of time, and still adores her older brother. One day, Shiryuki orders Genta to exterminate a couple demons that were spotted in a nearby forest. Unbeknownst to them, life-changing events were about to unfold once more. The latter half of the premiere focuses on the situation caused by the two demons, Tomi no Kijo and Dogen no Oni. In an effort to keep this video as spoiler-free as possible, all I'll say regarding their objective is that they were after Suzune for a very important reason. Their actions serve as the catalyst that sets the biological siblings on diverging paths and severs the strong bond between them. The tragedy that unfolds due to the meddling of Tomi and Doga is quite heart-wrenching and will leave you very sympathetic toward Genta. There's a great dramatic scene near the end of the premiere that was quite impactful because of how well the author established Genta's close relationship with his sisters earlier in the episode. Motoo wrote these characters in such a way that their feelings and actions never come across as shallow or lacking in nuance. They aren't simply generic, hollow archetypes we're expected to empathize with at the drop of a hat. The author builds in these characters through several scenes they share together before the demons put their nefarious plan into action. For example, one scene elaborates on the dutifulness of Genta and Shiryuki, as well as the love and respect they share for each other. I like how mature the handling of their relationship was, and really appreciate the complicated nature of their feelings for one another. The selflessness they both exhibited by prioritizing the needs of the village over their own desire to be together is admirable. From a narrative standpoint, Motoo avoids relying on cliches and leaning too heavily into certain story tropes. I was really surprised by how the plot unfolded during the series premiere. It's revealed in the opening sequence that Genta's sister is a demon who keeps her demonic eye hidden. I initially thought this would be the source of conflict prior to Tomi and Doga being introduced. I figured that the villagers would eventually discover the truth about her and suddenly become hostile towards Suzune. Then she would turn on them and Genta would be forced to kill her. Or perhaps they'd run away together just like they did in the beginning. In any case, I'm glad that the author didn't go the predictable route with this part of the story. Sometime after the incident caused by the parademons, Genta begins his journey to prepare for the inevitable confrontation with the demon god. Before he departs Kodono village, its leader gives him the sacred sword Yurai and a new name as part of their tradition. Following the events of the premiere, there's another significant jump in time. Within the span of a decade, Jinya has garnered quite the reputation for himself as a capable demon hunter. After the first episode, the series focuses on Jinya investigating peculiar incidents involving demons around the castle town of Edo. In the second episode, he's hired by the owner of a general store to serve as his daughter Natsu's bodyguard and to slay a demon that appears at night, demanding the return of its child. Episodes 3 and 4 center on Jinya investigating a serial killer known as the Slasher, whom he suspects is actually a demon due to a discrepancy between the number of corpses found and the number of reported missing persons. The most recent storyline revolved around him assisting Naosugu, a samurai from the Mayora clan, in the search for his missing brother that everyone else seems to have forgotten. There's actually a solid mystery at the heart of each of these cases, and the reveals were quite surprising. One revelation in particular was really grim, but the matter was resolved in a very satisfying manner. For the most part, new information relevant to these mysteries are introduced at a steady rate, and the questions raised are intriguing enough to pique the curiosity of the viewer. Why is the demon appearing outside of Natsu's room every night? And is she actually its child? Why is the Slasher only killing men? And what did it do with the missing women? Also, why was Mosuke's wife the only one whose body was found? Where's Naosugu's big brother Sadanaga? And why does nobody remember him? Furthermore, who is the girl he went to see? And why did he leave flowers in his room? With the exception of one of these questions, the answers we're given are logical and believable based on what Motoo has established beforehand. The writing has been excellent so far, with the author giving characters meaningful dialogue that relates perfectly to the different storylines. I appreciate he doesn't waste time on frivolous scenes, or try to force gags into the show, in an attempt to lighten the mood, and get you to quickly like the characters. Every moment serves a purpose, whether it's to flesh out a character, showcase an important relationship, or to advance the plot by presenting another piece of the puzzle. Even the seemingly insignificant interactions are worth paying close attention to, as it might tie into the current case, or provide some useful insight into a character. While the writing and storytelling have remained consistently strong so far, the momentum of the narrative is disrupted by the noticeably slower pacing of episodes 3 and 5. Exacerbating the issue is the scarcity of action sequences following the first couple of episodes. I know I've spent a lot of time talking about the mystery element of this show, but make no mistake, Sword of the Demon Hunter is an action series first and foremost. Given its genre and premise, one would expect this aspect to be more prominent than it has been so far. Instead, the action takes a back seat as the show leans more heavily into its mystery-driven narrative, starting with episode 3. Apart from episode 4, the last few episodes have been largely devoid of combat sequences. For those already invested in the different storylines, the lack of action and the leisurely pacing of a few episodes likely won't be an issue. On the other hand, the show may start to feel sluggish or dull to viewers who aren't captivated by the mysterious incidents Genya investigates and who crave a bit more spectacle. With that being said, the meager amount of action scenes featured in the series so far has been fairly entertaining. While none of the action sequences are on par with those found in something like a Demon Slayer or Dororo, the fights look much better than others Yokohama Animation Laboratory has produced in the past. In terms of production quality, this series is a clear step up from some of the studio's previous works, like The Kingdoms of Ruin and The New Gate. The artwork and realistic backgrounds are noticeably more impressive here, and the animation is some of the smoothest I've seen from one of their shows so far. I was quite surprised by how fluid it was during certain parts of the series premiere. Unfortunately, the quality has dipped slightly since that episode, and hasn't reached the same level of fluidity again. As a result, none of the most recent fight scenes have been as visually striking as those in the premiere. Hopefully the studio will spruce up the animation and other facets of the presentation to improve the combat sequences going forward. As things stand, Sword of the Demon Hunter is a promising action series with an engaging narrative and terrific writing across the board. While it's not as action-packed as some might expect, the mysteries woven throughout the story so far are genuinely intriguing. I definitely recommend checking this show out, especially if you're looking for a more mature, tonally cohesive alternative to Demon Slayer. Personally, I found the characters in this show to be more likable and better written overall. With that said, if you've seen this anime, let me know what you guys thought about it so far in the comment section below, and as always, thanks for watching.